The next level, the next level, the next level, next level with Keith. The next level, the next level, the next level, next level with Keith. You landed here and it's no mistake. You best believe this could be your break. Rub-a-dub-dub, check out the hubs inside. A winning team is here to be your guide. Oh, my friend, you've been looking for a brand new day. I got good news, only a click away. You can click on any hub, 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 hub. You are sure to feel the love, 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 love. Got some stories in my book, hope you'll take the time and look. The message in this simple read: teens, young adults, help them succeed. Scroll on down, got more to say. Go blogs, let's take it away. And if you choose not to do a thing that will ever cause me not to win, when you know your worth, no need to beg. Selling with no pressure is more fun. Instead, financial freedom has been calling you. Come join a hub, see what it will do. Come on and dance along with me. We going to the next level with Keith. The next level, the next level, the next level, next level with Keith. The next level, the next level, the next level, next level with Keith. The next level, the next level, the next level, next level with Keith. The next level. 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 Next level with Keith. The next level. The next level. The next level. Next level with Keith. And if you choose not to do a thing that will ever cause me not to win, when you know your worth, no need to beg. Selling with no pressure is more fun. Instead, the next level, the next level, the next level, next level with Keith. The next level, the next level, the next level, next level with Keith. The next level, the next level, the next level, next level with Keith. The next level, the next level, the next level, next level with Keith.
Welcome to the Next Level with Keith, where clarity replaces confusion and simple systems lead to real freedom. Every episode begins with intention, music that centers your mind, lifts your spirit, and prepares you for transformation. This is your space for growth, your place to reset, your moment to rise. Rethinking your thinking, because when you shift your mind, you shift your money. Stack and grow, where small intentional steps turn into lasting wins. Simple strategies, real progress. Your circle, your currency, because your network matters. Mobile money moves, business, income, and empowerment from the device in your pocket. This isn't just talk, it's guidance, it's strategy, it's movement. Welcome to the Next Level with Keith. Let's begin.
Welcome again to the Next Level with Keith. I want to ask you a favor. Those of you who are watching this program tonight while I'm live. Now, when I did this song, the intro for this particular podcast here, I was thinking having like a 30 seconds or 40 seconds, then it goes into the program. But tell me, please leave a comment if you can. And if you'd like to hear the entire song, if you enjoy it, or you'd rather to have me do a shorter intro. Just curious. I want to know. All right. Because I've been jamming to this thing when I'm playing. I'm like, this is really cool beat, man. So I want you to tell me if you think that I should keep it short, 30 seconds, 40 seconds or so, or maybe play the entire thing. All right. Or maybe if you want to hear another version to this, how about that? Let me know and I'll surprise you. But I need to hear from you. Okay. All right. Well, again, let me say welcome to the next level with Keith, episode 20. My goodness, podcast episode 20. How fast are we going, huh? We're really going fast. And tonight is set to be another interesting, hopefully interesting to you, topic. It was interesting to me, the way it came to my mind. And yeah, I do have my own personal experience with the word loyalty. All right. And tonight's topic, as you can see on the screen, said loyalty to losing or not. Loyalty to losing or not. What if your biggest financial problem isn't lack of talent, isn't lack of opportunity, but loyalty instead? What if that was the case? All right. I don't mean loyalty to purpose or to growth. I'm talking about loyalty to things that are pretty much draining you and is counterproductive to your fantastic future that's supposed to be ahead of you. That's what I'm talking about. All right. And we're talking about loyalty to dead end jobs, outdated business models, toxic cycles, unproductive habits, emotional expensive relationships. Oh, that's a big one right there. And financial systems that no longer work. And it's funny because as I'm laying out these little different things, I remember a story of a wife and husband who, worked for many years, and the wife retired earlier than her husband. Somewhere in her late 60s, she retired, and her husband kept going into his 70s, almost to his 80s. And she kept saying, "Honey, why don't you just quit? I mean, we have enough money. I'm good. You're good." He kept saying another year and another year and another year. And he waited until it was almost 80. And he had enough money. He had enough time, enough pension to live a comfortable life. And the minute he retired, he died. Didn't even get to live out a lot of what they had planned to do as far as traveling and really, you know, really going out in style, as some would say, right? So, loyal to what are you? And so, this is why this topic came about. And I know what it is to be loyal to something and see it not work out. I mean, for years. I also know what it is to be loyal and to be multidimensional. All right. I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that later on. But they're folks, they're loyal, but they're very tunnel vision. All right. They don't think outside the box. Many people right now who became full-time entrepreneur, they had a job before and they were loyal to that job, but they had a date and a time on it. Some said 10 years, some said 20 years, some say much less. But they said this is going to be a temporary station. While they were on that job, they were very loyal. So loyal can be taken in many different angles. But tonight I'll be stressing on the healthy loyalty, as the topic says, loyalty to losing or not? Are you loyal to losing or not? That is the question that we're asking on tonight. And this is the thing that I want to kind of bring about here. In today's economy, and as you can see, if you're observing and see what's going on in our economy today, survival is no longer enough to just survive. We don't want to be in that survival mode. We want to get out of that mode. Correct? We do. We need to what? Have the proper alignment. We need to be adaptable, and we also need strategy, all right? Not tragedy, strategy, all right? So we need alignment, we need adaptability, and we need strategy. Now, I got to be real when it comes to life, all right? Like someone would say, and I'm being a bit, you know, getting off the beaten path a little bit here for a reason. But in life, would say to kids back in my days, don't engage in sexual activities. The teenagers, all right, and young adults, don't engage. Don't engage. Now, the reality is that if we know the human body and how it works and the power of the sexual energy and the power of how the media pushes that thing and the music pushes that thing and just the natural proclivity to be curious about it and want to experience it, it's nature. So to tell a kid don't engage, come on, folks. We know it's going to happen. That's how we are born. That's how most of us came because of that activity, right? The point is that a lot of us who are, I would say, 40 and above, we kind of set in our ways. We really are. And I think it's going to be, it might be a small percentage of people who's over the age of 40 know how to adapt, know how to really get out of that mold, right? The years of just that's where I am, that's the way it is, that's the way it's gonna be. People really rarely ever change. I'm telling the truth. That's my observation. Maybe you have a different observation, but my observation is that people really, rarely ever change. Change is a very tricky thing for people. All right. And some, of course, change out of desperation, out of some dire circumstances, something traumatic happen, and it may cause people to like make some serious changes. But generally speaking, people are pretty much who they are after a certain age. They're made, they're set in their personality. All right. And so a part of it, of course, as I would learn from people who have, dealt with trauma and coaching, will let you know that a big part of how we behave is because of a trauma. Some of us don't even remember what it is. It's not that clear to us. And some of us even underestimate the power of what it has done to us. All right. But it's a big part of who we are as adults. And most of us don't get therapy. We think it's just unnecessary, right? We don't get that level of expert in our lives to really look deep and see what might be triggering me doing A, B, C, or D. What is the factor of what's going on here? So at least if I know what it is, I can at least use it to my benefit because a lot of what we that happens to us, it may be hurtful or maybe a painful memory, but that simply can be our superpower. It can be our success. It can be our story, I would say, help to others. All right. But looking at loyalty and looking at how I want to really flow with this topic tonight, I'm looking at some very important things. So let's talk about it a little bit. Talk about this thing we call loyalty. And when you think about your thinking and how it is set, and we think about rethink your thinking. It is something to really, really, I would say, make a concerted effort to really, really think about it. Sometimes you may not do it because you don't really hear anyone outside of you saying these things or, encouraging these things. So sometimes when you hear it, you say, you know what? Let me see what this brother is saying or this sister is saying. Let me maybe try this for the first time. Most of us in our 40s, 50s, 60s, it might be the first time we're thinking about a side hustle because we worked all our lives. All right. And most of what we look at as business is something more like a flower shop or a restaurant, all right, or some kind of physical establishment that we grew up seeing. But we don't see us having a business like online that's more digital. It's more, you can't really touch it, but it's a real business. It requires communication. It requires um, paperwork. It requires transaction. All right. It requires a set of skill sets and certain things that goes into a natural business. Inventory, maybe, right? And so a lot of us don't have that way of thinking about business. Most of us see that as too much of a challenge. All right. And it's outside of my normal way of looking at business. But as we see our times are changing, all right, times are changing. We leave the space of writing letters and mailing it to where we have email, right? So at one time, people thought writing a letter was the way to go. You know, write a mail, send it off, and you wait for the person to respond. It seems natural, okay, and normal. Here comes the email, where you just, actually before the email, I think there were fax, like fax, and you could fax the thing, and it would, you know, take a little time. Wasn't as fast as the email, right? Now they have email now, so you can always communicate rapidly, quickly, and people became more resourceful. The people got more done. They saw more expansion in their business. They saw more growth. They were able to communicate more. So we see that thinking about what we're loyal to is important. And the reality is that many people have been a part of something, all right, and it's all they knew. I know folks who got caught up into hands-on products. They just love to meet people. They love to, you know, just demonstrate stuff. Just have that sense of what is, wellness products, like, maybe cleaning supplies or natural stuff, or it could be makeup stuff, and they love it. And years and years and years, and they struggle and they struggle and they struggle and they struggle, and you don't hear that point of wow, where that success has happened. I don't hear it very often. I've heard it, but not very often, right? But the majority of people that I know is just years of just doing something that just it becomes a routine, like almost like a ritual. All right, and they love that thing, and the goal that they would have wanted or they had in mind never realized. It never came to fruition, and yet still, even today, they're still on the same track, right? Loyal to that company, loyal to that business, loyal to the meetings, loyal to their upline, they call their business associates, and they're not happy with the results. And some of them do have very bitter fallout when they finally decide to break ties and say, you know what, I got to move on. I've seen that in real time where someone decided to move on and it became a real bitter breakup. Also, my goodness, you know, because the person leaving was part of their money, their monthly income. So it's interesting how when you think about being loyal, are you loyal to losing? Because, the results are important. You know, I know that many couples, sometimes could be the male or the female, onto something. And at first, it's noble, it's exciting. Sometimes they're both in agreement too at the start of it. And after 1 year, 2 year, maybe 3 year, 3 years, all of a sudden nothing's happening. And all of a sudden, the partner says, you know what? We got to end this thing. We got to change. We got to try something different. And one said, no, we got to keep going. We got to keep going. All right. And that sometimes called disruption in the marriage or the relationship, discord, of course, disunity. And you find that one refuses to leave. And I've seen that in real time where the spouse say, man, this man is still doing it all these years, still struggling. All right. And she's moved on, she's progressed different things and she's tried different things. I'm not saying one can't do that. One can't stay long because some things may take a long time before it manifests. But I think for the most part, uh, is to be loyal, but you close the doors. You don't even look at other options. All right. You don't look at uh, is the time invested really worth? It's really worth it. Um, am I seeing any proof of anything happening? All right. Sometimes having some documentation of winning is important. A lot of times things may not happen very, very fast. And then sometimes the folks who are doing this don't have a second thing that's solid. They're on one thing that's not solid, but it's long. You know, I personally I've talked about my own experience over 20 years trying different things. And yes, 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 I know I have tried many things, and I knew I had children, so I never really gave up my day job. Now, should I have? I don't know. Maybe I could have. I should have. But the point is that it was beneficial in many ways having a day job, having insurance, having certain things, certain benefits, and at the same time, I didn't let that be my only possible future. I look at the possibility of other things that was developed, right? That was developed over time. And I've seen where I was able to say, rather than doing two jobs or three, one is enough. One is enough. And able to almost double that income doing trying something else or developing something else. All right. Now, as time goes on, you can try several things, three, four, five things if you can. But what's really scary is loyalty to something where even if you're told to look at some other angles, you're afraid because of the community that you're in. You may seem as if you are not loyal or you're betraying the group, right? I've seen some cultish things with several opportunities that I just didn't like. Cultish behavior, People can move on. People can try different things. People should explore, all right? Even if they come back, but I think that exploration is important many times because in my case, I learned a whole lot. I learned so much about people, about CEOs, about companies, and sometimes how the money plays a role and how some of those I call it emphasis is placed on the ones who are supposedly the movers and shakers and who gets the accolades and who gets left behind and who is not really seen as important. All right. And I've seen a whole lot of things. But as I talk about rethink your thinking, there's a Gallup poll that was done, right? And this Gallup poll shows that disengaged workers are less productive, right? It shows that disengaged workers are less productive, more stressed, and financially less secure over time. Meanwhile, studies on entrepreneurship and wealth building reveal something important. Financial freedom often begins the moment people stop emotionally attaching themselves to systems that no longer serve them. All right. Very important to think about that. Financial freedom often begins the moment people stop emotionally attaching themselves to systems that no longer serve them. Okay, I think that's deep, right? Check this out. Many people stay loyal to what? The companies that underpay them. They do. Also, many people stay loyal to what? Business ideas with no demand. Many people stay loyal to what? Friendships that discourage growth. There are people who stay loyal to what? Spending habits that destroy wealth simply because they have invested years into them. No, there are people I know right now that I used to tell some things a year or two or three ago, ideas I have and plans I have, and they're so negative. And sometimes they probably don't even know they're being negative. They just see the glass always half full. And I'm like, you know what? Some things I don't even say anymore. I just don't say anymore at all. I watch things grow and move and develop. And when I'm ready, I just say it. So people sometimes think that you're just not, you're not growing or you're not functioning, right? But sometimes you have to kind of hold it back a little bit, right? I'm someone who is known to be very self-motivated when it comes to trying something new. All right. It's like I can try 10 things and each time it's like the first thing because I go with that belief, I go with that confidence, I go with that enthusiasm. And folks will wonder, how do you do that? How do you maintain that kind of thing? Well, I don't really know, but I think it's important that whatever I do, I take that approach. You shouldn't do things and you having all these doubt and will it work and this kind of skepticism all the way all the time, instead of just driving it and then see, you know what, it didn't work, let's move on. And knowing that some things take longer than others. But here is this, I think it's something to look at. I think it's very clear that time invested is not proof something should continue. So a lot of folks, because of the time they invested, they figure, well, let's continue. And it happens a lot in relationships. All right. Even toxic ones, unhealthy ones, because they invested so much time to figure, well, you know what? Let me just continue on. And it doesn't lead to where they want to go. As you see on the on my screen, the financial freedom often begins the moment people stop emotionally attach themselves to systems that no longer serve them. All right. Emotional attachment can be so powerful because somebody can leave something, try something new, but their emotions are still on that. What if I waited another month? What if I waited another 6 months? What if I waited another year? Right? They're attached to what could have been. And sometimes it's best to have that detachment, right? And learn from that experience and see what is happening over here on another side. All right. Even if you go back, but sometimes most people realize this, you know what? I did waste a lot of time, or maybe the time I left, if I stayed longer, it would have benefited me. So moving on was a good idea. All right. The thing is that another point I want to bring out to you is this. As I talk about time invested is not proof something should continue, is that's called the sunk cost trap. It's called the sunk cost trap, right? And a proven psychologist bias, I'm sorry, a proven psychological bias where people continue losing simply because they have already invested too much to walk away. That's tough. All right. It's called the sunk cost trap, right? And it's a psychological bias where people continue losing simply because they already invested too much to walk away. I hope you're not in that case tonight. And if you are, tonight might be your time of deliverance where you will leave that space. You say, listen to me, once and for all, I'm gonna cut that string, right? Right, I'm gonna get rid of that cord that's holding me back. All right. But see, the trap has destroyed businesses, relationships, investments, and so many dreams. So looking at what? Stack and grow. Stack and grow. Important to look at that
The
aspect.
next level, the next level, the next level, next level with Keith.
So yes, so have you noticed that there is a very important element looking at this thing we call stack and grow? Because a lot of things that we don't realize, it is stacking. It really is actually growing, but we sometimes don't identify those little things because stacking don't have to be big things. It could be small things over time that keep stacking up, right? Until it gets there. So here's what financially successful people understand. Leaving something misaligned is not starting over. All right. It may not be in alignment, you know, it may not be the right fit, right? But it's not starting over, really. It's repositioning. So sometimes don't spend too much time saying, I missed it. I didn't get it right. It didn't work out. It's about redirecting that positioning. All right. And you start to move in the right direction. The average millionaire reportedly has multiple income streams, and many built wealth after pivoting careers, industries, and strategies entirely. Some folks, their life changed when they got fired, and a lot of them, if they didn't get fired, they wouldn't leave the job. And I can give a quick story on that because many some years ago, I had a part-time job, and I remember just after a while not liking the job, right? And I felt I needed the money, to kind of, you know, bring additional income because just life responsibilities and that kind of thing. And it was very safe as far as the income, but it was very low. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is that I had people that I worked with that was very unprofessional. Some were just very, I don't know, just really off the chain, man, as some would say. A lot of these people, they would demand of you with your part-time job as if it's your main job. And I didn't complain about what the job wanted, but I realized that, you know what? I got to find a way to do my own thing, to not be obligated to this system here. All right. And you get the point where it's like you want to call out, but you have to find someone to call out. So you got to find somebody to replace you first, then you can call out. But then you can't find somebody, you can't even call out. And I'm thinking, wow, I'm going for like 1, 2, 3 years. I think going on almost 4 years. I'm thinking, hmm, I don't know. I got to make a change, but not sure what to do because again, it felt safe. The days were predictable. The money was predictable. I'm gonna get it next Thursday. And of course, as it came, it pretty much went. It was spent as it came before it came. So it's like, I mean, where are we going with this, right? The money was spent before it came. But anyway, I knew I was doing music, and a lot of my event was on the weekends. And so they changed my shift to working weekends now. I'm like, I'm thrown off now because I'm not able to go to my events, and this job is wanting so much. So I'm still going, going, going until one day, to make a long story short, I got fired. All right. Silly reasons, but I got fired. And when I got fired, well, I can be honest, I was sleeping. I was tired, supposedly. But I remember walking to my office. It was very super cold. My manager was in the office. It was so cold. I'm like, are you serious? And I went in the office and she was still there. And I didn't turn off the AC as I should have. I was just waiting for her to leave. And she stood there for a little while talking before she left the room. And as she was talking, I started to fall asleep. My eyes started getting, I don't know what was in that room or on the table, or whether there was some kind of spray or some kind of perfume or something. But I just started falling asleep in my eyes in a way. I felt that way. And so she finally walked out and they walked back in like a minute or so afterwards and saw me sleeping, like nodding off. And she decided to fire me. That's how I lost that job. But it was the best thing that ever happened. I was so happy a month after that. The first day I was, like, oh my God, this is horrible. This money, I'm gonna lose this money right away. I need this money. But I'm like, wait a minute. After about a month, I realized that it was the best thing this lady did for me. And the money I made was far more than that job and much easier and less stress. And I didn't have to deal with those folks who I thought were very unprofessional on the job and very unreasonable sometimes. But I digress from that story. The point is that we're talking about stacking here and growing. So, yes, I was stacking. I really was, right? But when I was stacking, it wasn't healthy. So I learned from that. Even though I was uncomfortable, I was getting frustrated. I was stacking up frustration. I was stacking up resentment. I was stacking up stress. All right. It wasn't, I wasn't really where I wasn't aligned, I would say. I wasn't aligned. And it was after us, like I said, when I got fired, I said, man, thank you. I needed that. So many people right now, they can tell you they got fired from many jobs because of who they were. They weren't bad folks. They just had a certain kind of way about them. And when they finally realized that, listen, the job is not mine, that's not my thing, they became very successful doing their own thing. So you heard a while ago, we talked about 7 ways. Stack up 7 ways to get paid, 3 ways to get paid, 4 ways to get paid, 5 ways to get paid. Stack it up. You can, it's possible. And that's why you have such a network as such that's here because I'm a part of a network. The word network, and there's a saying that your net worth is dependent on your network. The net worth is highly dependent on your network. All right. So now we who might be watching this program in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, how adaptable are you? How adaptable are you? We talked about people who might be stuck in their ways, the older model type business. Are you able and ready to do some small changes? Some small change. Now, the good thing here is this: a lot of the hard work is already done for you. All right, you're going to be required to do some level of work, be adaptable, be coachable. All right, but someone who understands who's in that age bracket, and like I said, I'm a layman type of guy. I'm not real techie like that. All right, I'm not drawn to techie stuff like that. I find people who love that stuff, people who enjoy that kind of thing, and you have them now be one of your um, source, one of your foundation to get you going with what you love to do, right? Now, I admire what these people can do in the background. I mean, looking at the screen here, I didn't do this, right? I have a team of people who I work with, and they allow this to happen. And sometimes it may require some small investments, all right? And sometimes many people don't realize that when you can make the small investment, someone has to make the big investment before you can make the small investment. But some folks can't even see that. So you have to understand that you can look at a 5,000 budget program, $10,000 budget program. That's what might be paying for, right? But you get the easy part of it, right? You get the information, you get the adaptability. I talk a lot about my hubs on this channel, right? My hubs, my hubs, my hubs, my hubs, my hubs, my hubs, right? And my hubs, it's really just they are prepared for you. They are curated for you. All right. Now, you go in my hubs. A lot of you right now looking for a side hustle, right? Maybe an opportunity that's low cost. All right. That's going to require you to spend 10 hours a week, or even 5 hours a week, or even 3 hours a week, or even 1 hour per week. It doesn't even require that. I'm telling you, it's here. No joke. It's here. But to get it here wasn't just a snap of the finger. It came through here because of my years of experience. So when you look at wealth and look at information, most of us, while we stuck, we don't appreciate the labor that has gone to what you're seeing. We don't even understand how critical that is to actually receive that. Listen to me. I many years ago, there was a program that about blogs, and it was a business built around blogging because at one time blogging came about and was started really picking up. And for me, it was the hardest thing to do a blog. It was like, oh my goodness, it felt like I was just off into the deep end. These days, because of technology, those guys, I appreciate them so much. They are so brilliant. I thank God for these people who make these kind of devices, these tools, so I can do things much easier. I'm super thankful. All right. And a lot of us, because we're not thankful and grateful for what's coming at us, we let it pass by. Because you see, when you really live in a space of being thankful and really grateful for something, everything comes to you seems fresh and you want to have it. All right. So we're not called to where people just expect. I'm entitled, not knowing that the work and the effort that goes behind sometimes is really the magic because now I can do the easier part. Sometimes we look at a banana come in the store or fruit and we go and buy the supermarket. But you know what that fruit might have gone through before it got to your space, in your community, in your store, in your hands? Who are the farm, maybe the weather type that they go through and the intense labor that it took and those folks in between and yeah, it's a lot to get that to you. And some of us don't even understand and are grateful about those small things. So my pods are here. You can go and click on them. All right. How are you going to be in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s? You tell me how. Is it possible that you want to make a change in your financial situation, which you can, and you have a hard time clicking a few buttons? Hmm. You've thought about that? All right. Now, I've seen folks who have, who I have worked with on different opportunities. And my next part, I'll be dealing with something on that idea. All right. About people expecting something, but they realize that the parts that's needed, it's not being applied. Very, very, very interesting. But yes, so when you are someone who is observing what's around you, what's going on, and you're realizing that listen, things are changing and you need to actually make some changes, look at all that you do right now as far as spending your money, your hard-earned money. All right. Just look at that one example right now and tell me where you're spending their money. Are they feeding that back into you? How is that coming back to you? All right. How is that coming back to you? You know why I really got into even wanted to actually monetize my YouTube channel? A part of it was because I was encouraged by my mentor. I didn't really see the value of it like that. But I realized that when I used to make videos years ago, and there were ads on the on my videos that I didn't put there, but I wasn't getting paid for those ads. Yet still they were on my videos. And something said to me, "Why on earth I'm that as well?" Because I mean, it'd be nice to have it both ways. So no matter what I put out there, they slap video on my on my channel on my videos. Certain ads they put in there. So I say, you know what? Yes, I think my mentor is correct. Monetize it. So even if it's a penny, it is something. It feels better when I put my content out there and I see a little ad on there. Because I remember some years ago when I started a couple of pennies, but now it's growing to dollars and it's growing and growing and growing and who knows how far it may go. But it feels different now that it's monetized. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying to go and make a YouTube channel or that I'll try to get monetized. But if something you want to do, you're in the right house. If you're thinking about, listen to me, I want to start a YouTube channel, you have it right here in front of you. All right. You say you want to do content, blogging, right here in front of you. So many of you, many folks watch, but they don't understand that they're actually are in the driver's seat because when I started this iPod, it wasn't to talk to people who were not there, talk to space or aliens. It was to people like myself in my age bracket who are looking for something and don't want the heavy lifting. I don't want the heavy lifting, and I'm not doing the heavy lifting, and I don't want you to do the heavy lifting either. So I said, listen, how can I get a network, be a part of a network to make it easier? So there's not this pressure and this hard pushing up the mountain, so to speak. All right. So looking at stacking, sometimes the smartest financial move is what? Ending a subscription, downsizing the ego, changing the environment, leaving the family business mindset, or pivoting towards scalable skills. I give you a real important one. A lot of folks, they would hear of an opportunity that costs them less than $20, less than $50. And for them, it's like, I can't do that. I want to spend no more money. They look at that thing so hard. And yes, still they have two or three subscription. What is something to do with videos or movies or sports channel, whatever it is. They have two or three subscriptions that come to 40, 50, 60, $80 a month. And some of these folks are not even watching it. They're not even watching the thing. They're too busy to watch it, but they have the subscription. There's something that came out. There's an app that came out. I don't want to say the name on my show. I'm gonna get in trouble. But the app is supposed to identify all of the subscriptions that you have. And then many people, when they check it out, they have a lot more subscriptions than they thought. They were spending money that they didn't even know they were spending. They didn't even know. Yet still, they're now confronted with something that's could be life changing. Not just spending out, but bringing something in. It'll cost you something. It's like, oh no, it's too much. And I've seen folks who would buy big lunch every day, coffee every day, and if you add it up for the month, that's sometime in the hundreds. But yet still, some of these folks have a hard time adapting and saying, let me just see what may generate or plant the seed. Because if you don't plant something, nothing grows, right? Something has to be planted. So there are things that we can do when it comes to stacking, all right? Because there's no saying, nothing from nothing leaves nothing. Something has to be put in for something to come out. So with all that said, looking at what the age of AI, which we are in now, it's pretty scary in many aspects of it. But at the end of the day, no matter what tools that we see, they're good people and they're bad people. And we hope and trust that the good ones we use it for the good. All right. But let's talk about AI. It's a tool, but it's digital, right? It's a tool. Talk about remote work. There's a bunch of it out there that folks can explore. Um, so looking at these things, people who adapt fastest often recover fastest financially. I went to a meeting tonight before I, came back home and to my podcast, and it was about, really getting information about empowering the community. And it's really come down to economics. That's a major hurdle that most people have. No money, less option, less things you can do, less things you can have, not having that tool. But sometimes the thing is that how do you get that thing to use as a tool? And so therefore, you find that the communities that are more economically challenged, right? There's a disparity in that. You find that it can be a lot more difficult all around. All right. The schools that are most more funded than others, you can see the result of it. All right. And so looking at AI, that's the world we're in. And the thing is that we don't want to be going kicking, screaming when we could get ahead of it. A lot of us don't want to be forced into something when we can get ahead of it. All right. That's the idea. We want to get ahead of this thing. And there's a simple formula, I believe, in getting started. And that's to be able to what? Listen to your circle. Your circle is a very important thing that affects your entire future. This is a part of your circle. If you're watching me for a while, I've now become a part of your circle. All right. And you may have other sources that you go to or look to. Sometimes I think we may be overloaded with stuff that we don't know even know how to proceed because there's so much information coming to us from all different directions. I'm only one person in one corner trying to affect the world in whatever way I can. And when I say the world, it means that I've had response from people all over the world, which is a wonderful thing. All right. But your circle, man, it's a real important thing. Your circle, your currency, so important.
The next level, the next level, the next level, the next level, next level with Keith.
Yeah, so let's keep it real, right? Let's keep it real. Look at your circle now. Some people are broke because the environment punishes growth. And I've seen that. Research on economic mobility repeatedly shows that your network influences your earning potential, opportunities, confidence, and even your financial habits. Yes, your circle is a very important thing. I say it again. Research on economic mobility repeatedly shows that your network influences your earning potential, opportunities, confidence, and even your financial habits. If everyone around you normalizes struggle, mocks ambition, fear change, or attacks progress, you got a problem around you. That's your circle. It's like tying rope on your feet when you're trying to climb. All right. It's not something to play with. And many of us have changed in our lives because of what we stumble upon. It could be a speech, could be a message, could be uh, something that was motivational, could be a podcast as such as this that you decide to make that change. And I think last week I did put out some of the thing that folks wrote in response to some of my episodes. And for me, it was very encouraging as folks were saying how they felt impacted. They felt, that, hey, I can do this. I should do this. I'm thinking about this. I'm rethinking this. And those are things that you want to see happen. So your circle is extremely important. You'll eventually shrink yourself to stay accepted. And many folks have done that. I can tell of an opportunity right now that I was a part of for a good amount of years. And the opportunity is not dead, as far as I'm concerned. They're going through a transition. And it seems a bit mystifying and what's really going on. But as far as I know, it's going through a transition. And I heard one time the CEO said, brand yourself, brand yourself. And I'm not sure how many people heard that statement, brand yourself. And I've said it before on my podcast that with all the business I've done over the years, different names, right? Different type of businesses. And I here might not brand the hats or the t-shirt for the business, or I may have cards for that business, right? My YouTube channel may say the business. I'm thinking, wow, the business is gone. It's no more. So what happened to my brand? See? So I learned that hmm, maybe I should make a change. He's giving me an insight. Brand yourself. And of course, having a coach who specializes in that is even more important. All right, because someone has to have an eye to sometimes see beyond what you may not see. Because when it comes to branding, there are many aspects to branding. All right, how to go about it, what you're branding, time is involved, consistency is involved, how you use the different network platforms and the messaging and the communication that's important. So I realized that branding oneself, it kind of gives you more of a longevity, I believe, right? And you're not all over the place. And that's why when we talk about having several income streams, it means that it's possible if you know how to brand right. All right. Because you're going to find and discover what works for you and what is aligned and what can work together harmoniously without you feeling dragged here, dragged there, and everywhere else. So this idea of your circle can be your freedom or your trap, right? So you want to make sure you're in the right circle. The right circle will know how to build you up, how to, make you feel like, hey, you can go on, you can do this, encourage you, inspire you, and put work into you and value what you do. All right. That is so important. So as I said, looking at what can be your hindrances and how you'll eventually shrink yourself into wanting to stay accepted. But to me, that's very expensive, right? That's an expense I think you don't want to incur. Financial freedom often requires what? New conversations. That's what I'm trying to do here. Bring about new conversations, new skills, new mentors, and sometimes new rooms, new places, new environment. Very important because loyalty to dysfunction is still dysfunction. So if you look at what you're doing now for 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 years, all right, and it's not working, have you tried exploring something else? Have you tried multiple things? Sometimes have you tried to even add on and see what can work? Because sometimes you may not quit all the way, but you kind of may slow down for a little bit and take focus off that and put it on something else that could be more aligned with you. Because when you were 20, you were a different person. Now you're 30. Now you're 40, you're a different person. Different way of thinking, different temperament, different way of understanding life based on what you've been through. So a lot of times as you get older, if we don't adapt, sometimes we wonder why things is not are not gone the way it's gone, or is going the way it's going, or can go. All right, and that's what I said earlier. That's why I said it that sometimes in life when you start to see the wheels turning, you try to just don't say too much. Don't try to get ahead of yourself. Sometimes just take time and build that thing and give it time. It'll come out in time. You'll know when to get it going. You know when to expose it, right? But you need that moment to really get yourself centered in the right environment, the right circle, make those adjustments. And hopefully this podcast can help you to see that and encourage that. And you'll begin opposed to waiting around another 6 months, another year, or only God knows how long. All right. Because we're not getting any younger. All right, we sure not getting any younger, and we got things to do. We got places to go. All right, we got things to do. We have another life in us, and so therefore that age gap or the age bracket. I'm sorry, age bracket 30, 40 to 60. It's very important. It's a pivotal time in our lives. All right, and we want to make sure that we get out all the weeds as much as we can, things that can hold us back and allow us to thrive and fly and soar like the eagles. Mobile money moves, practical solutions, mobile money moves. So check this out. Here are 5 practical power moves for people serious about financial freedom. The key word here is serious. Now, if you're not serious, hey, it's fine. But if you're serious, that's why this is here for you. If you're serious, one, run a financial alignment audit. What is that, you may ask? All right, find out what drains you financially, what actually produces results, what habits are costing me or costing you peace and profit. All right, so run a financial alignment audit. Now, that sounds new to me. I like that. What drains you financially or drains me financially, what actually produces results, what habits are costing you peace and profit, or me peace and profit. Cut emotional spending. Track subscriptions, audit energy leaks. Take a time and check those things out because you could be losing so much without even knowing. Audit may come once a year or twice a year, but when they come, it is serious. That's why they don't come very often. But when they come to really look at things to make sure that things are in order. All right, because if things are out of order, then the company suffers. The company suffers. It keeps you on your toes, keeps you alert, keeps you aware, and it keeps you doing the things that are necessary for progression. Two, build a quiet exit strategy. All right. Don't quit emotionally, plan strategically. Like I said, I personally have been a part of different businesses, and the business that I have now that started off with a business being the main part of why I joined. But when I found out that the business had a product that was very good, this business here, as far as their goods and service, is very good. I didn't leave the company knowing that I could stay and benefit with the products. I, I may have left the business part of it, right? I didn't just dump the entire business because the other part of it was, to me, beneficial. All right. And so, why not? Right? You having a pregnant wife at the time. And so, whatever's in that house, I think needs to be as safe as possible. And if I can not have toxic things in the house, that's a bad idea. If I don't wash their clothes and toxic stuff, I think that's better. Right? And so, you're building a strategy, an exit strategy. How can I leave? Because it may not work out the way you want to or the way you think. So having this now can make it a little bit easier. It's like you're having 6 months or a year of emergency cash. If you do lose your job, it doesn't mean that you're going to find a job in 6 months or 3 months, but it means that you can find a job in 2 or 3 months. And at the same time, you have less stress because you have some financial thing that's helping you out. You have some extra funds to ease the transition. A lot of people get jobs within a month or two. So having 3, 4, 5, 6 months of emergency cash is a great idea. Give it time to relax a little bit, breathe, maybe take a week or two off and just kind of think about things and see how you're gonna go moving forward. All right. All right. Before leaving, build savings. Very important. Very important, my friends. Build savings. Learn a monetizable skill. That's important too. Create a side income. That's important too. Test opportunities quietly first. What are you asking? I can hear you asking, how am I supposed to do that? I can hear you asking the question, how am I supposed to start that? How am I supposed to do that? You're watching the program, the part of a network, going to do all those things. That's the power of what is happening here. You're looking at a network within a get you started with all those things. That to me is a beautiful thing. Going off into deep end, especially being a newbie in this thing. All right. So that's why we're here to offer you information. So you can do a click away, you're here. All right. Monetize what you already have. I spoke about my YouTube channel, right? Remember, I spoke about it that I had one and eventually I didn't monetize. You remember? Okay. Um, looking at um people are making income from what? Consulting. That could be a hidden gift that you don't even know you have. Digital products, YouTube, affiliate marketing, coaching, video covers, or voiceovers, different contents that you can find in your niche. Some folks have really beautiful voices and they can do voiceover and don't even know it. Right. So your existing experience may already contain income opportunities. A lot of us have great things that we have already that we love and passionate about, but we just don't know where to start. We don't know where to start. That's why we're here. Four, stop confusing loyalty with obligation. Helping people should not require destroying yourself financially. Support is healthy. Sacrifice without strategy is not. You need some kind of strategy to get things in focus get things aligned, and become unstoppable. Five, learn high income, low overhead skills. High income, low overhead. In today's economy, look at editing, AI prompting, automation, digital marketing, content management, online tutoring, remote admin support. These things can create flexible income without massive startup cost. And trust me, I got some real cool ideas for you if you check out the hubs. All right, check out the the passive income hub. Check that out. It's there. Explore this network and see what you can come up with. But I highly recommend you do this. You get with even a session with a coach. Even one session with a coach will give you an idea how you want to proceed. All right, how you want to proceed, and that will make it more clearer, more concise, more tailored to you. All right, and from that, it's easy to springboard and go in the direction that you would like to go and be effective. Because yeah, some things in life you do because you have to do it for economical reasons. But sometimes you want to really have your passion be the thing that drives you. You love it, you're passionate about it, and that should drive you. And it makes it much easier and much more fun, even when things get, you know, a little dampened or things are not exciting, you go into a rough patch. That passion inside, the love gives you that fire. You're never gonna quit. You're gonna always bounce back and keep going. So, one of my favorite part of this program here, my favorite part of the program is actually taking action because we can hear a whole lot of things. We can talk from now to the Netherlands. We can dance around things. We can research all day long. We can have the best coach, mentor. We can have the best uh, friend, the best advisor. We can have the best supporter. But until you take action, nothing moves, nothing happens. The good thing is that small actions is all you need, not big, uh, elaborate ones, just small actions. And I've seen some of you already taking actions when you type and leave a comment. That's a very important action that you're taking. A lot of you right now are on your way. You're probably not telling me what you're doing or what you started. I mean, I would love to know. I really would like to know what you started. That'd be great to have it in the comment section, right? And how you have started something new because you never thought you would, or maybe something inspired you from one of my segments, got you onto something right now. All right. Taking action is a very important element to the entire puzzle. All right. So what you do what they call a loyalty audit. All right. This week, this year, I would say your homework for the week, your assignment for the week, do a loyalty audit. So what you're gonna do is this: write down what's growing, what's growing you, right? What is in your life that's causing you to grow, or what's draining you, and be honest about it. All right. And also what you have outgrown. All right. And anything below a six in alignment needs a plan. All right. So say it again. Do a loyalty audit. Write down this week what's growing you, what's causing you to grow. Two, what's draining you. You know what that is. Also, what you have outgrown. And anything below a six out of 10 in alignment needs a plan. Two, make one quiet money move. That's one. Apply for something. Could be what? It could be a you know grant. You never know. Apply for something. Could be a job. Could be something that you think you never do. Something online you can apply for. So it happens. Launch something. Could be some of you never had a second email. Get a second email. All right. Maybe a YouTube channel. All right. I launched my channel a long time before I actually started using it, but it was launched. So when I was ready, it was already done. All right. Learn something, something new. Learn about what are these hubs about. Because you may hear it, but you never click on it to know what it is. So that's new. Click on the hubs. Leave a comment in there. All right. That's something new. Test something. Send an email. Say who you are. Say what you do, what you would like to do, and see what comes back to you. All right. Test to see if there will be any response. A lot of you, I can tell you, I do my very best to respond to your messages on my video. I do my best to respond to every single one. I'm human, so I may miss some here and there, but I do my very best to read every one of your comments because I value you. I think you're important. And to watch my show and leave a comment, I appreciate that very much. It means a whole lot to me. All right. So I wouldn't ask you to do something that I'm not doing or not interested in doing. All right. So test something. All right. Not every move needs to be announced. You can do it quietly. All right. Just try something else. You never know. All right? We're in a new month now. A new month about this. A new month is just started, and try something new for this month. Three, protect your vision. Stop seeking permission from people who benefit from you stagnation. So stop seeking permission from people who benefit from your stagnation. They don't mind seeing you not going anywhere. They don't mind seeing you not growing, not doing anything. Right? Don't look for them for permission. All right. Final thoughts as we wrap up this program here. I believe we want to look at some partners. Uh, but if not this week, it might be next week because we talk about partners and so on that we work with. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And you yourself can be a partner that we want to spotlight. You also have an option here to get yourself exposed. All right. Because sometimes what you may have, someone needs to see it. All right. I was exposed online, and about a week and a half ago, I got a very massive call to do a photo shoot for a major brand. Go figure. I got I got a email and I spoke to the individual. They wanted me to do a photo shoot with some models for a major brand, and I did. And I got paid for that too. All right. Cool stuff. But I'm there exposing myself. And so if I wasn't doing that, they would never know or see me. All right. So when you put yourself out there, you just don't know what can happen. But just by being out there. All right. So looking at final thoughts, according to surveys from resume. Now, one of the most common life regret is this. All right. This is according to surveys from resume. One of the most common life regret is I stayed too long. That's big. Too long in the wrong job, too long in the wrong environment, too long ignoring the signs, too long ignoring the signs. I worked at a job for many years, and tell you something, the job didn't demand my time that much. The job gave me experience, and I wrote a book. And a big part of the book was my experience doing that job. So a lot of folks will be in a job and everything they go on, it doesn't benefit them. They're not doing stuff to hopefully benefit them or benefit their cause or their future. It's all gone to the job, all gone to social media, all gone to wasting time. But what have you done even while you're working A? Were you doing B for yourself? So I find that I thank God I was able to be, I would say, multi-dimensional in my thinking. I was able to actually not allow a job to be my only idea or identity, but there was a key inside of me. There was ideas, there were thoughts, and so that's why I can offer you multiple things because I believe that I use those things as a blessing, all right, and try to package those things in a very palatable way, all right, easy to, I would say, bite size, all right, click and go, very portable, very automated, that kind of guy, by the way, all right. And so here we are on my podcast, and you look around, you see different ideas as to what is going on here. So if you go to podcast.keithmerritt.com, that's where you'll find the whole shebang. All right, go to podcast.keithmerritt.com and you can see for yourself. All right, so listen carefully. Loyalty becomes very dangerous when it costs you what? Your peace, your purpose, your progress, or your financial future. Loyalty becomes dangerous when it costs your peace, your purpose, your progress, or your financial future. And in a rapidly changing economy, the people who survive and thrive are not always the smartest. How about brains here? I'm telling you, folks, they are often the most willing to adapt, choose courage over comfort, because the highest form of loyalty is loyalty to the future you're trying to build. So, let me just ask you, what's one thing you've been loyal to that may no longer align with your future? You can leave in the comment if you wish. And you can drop this in the comment if you don't mind. Drop this in the comment. If this episode challenged your thinking, share it with somebody who needs permission to grow. All right? Share it with somebody who needs to grow. So, again, another segment, another week. Time is going. Hoping that you would have gotten some real cool things from this episode. That some of you who were maybe on your stoop will get off of your stoop. You'll rise up. You'll start to take action. Time is flying by in the AI world. Things are moving rapidly. So you can't wait too long, hang around too long, procrastinate too long, or procrastinate. It's too long. Procrastinate is actually waiting, right? Too long, or waiting to do something when it should be on the move and get it done. So, my name again is Keith. I thank you for joining me here on this podcast, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you in the comment sections and seeing you getting those hubs and have fun, right? Because it's designed to be calm and just cool and just relax. Nothing crazy over your head, pressuring you and beating over the head and making you feel bad. Is that I have failed and I'm winning, and you also can win. And if you choose to work with this network, I'm telling you, the sky is the limit. So thanks again for watching. Appreciate you. And I see you on my next podcast. Podcast 21. God bless you. Stay strong. Bye now.
If today's episode spoke to you, it's because you're ready. Ready for your money to work for you. Ready for practical steps, not just motivation. Ready for faith-led financial freedom. Ready to build stability, peace, and confidence for your family. You're not alone on this journey. The Next Level isn't just a podcast. It's a movement toward freedom, one episode at a time. Stay connected. Listen anytime at podcast.keithmerritt.com. Explore the Next Level Movement Hub. Subscribe on YouTube at Keith Merritt. Like, share, comment. Your engagement helps this message reach more families. Take your next step. Visit keithmerritt.com/impact/the next level. Subscribe for the latest blog from the Freedom Resource Hub and join the Next Level Resource Network. Choose the hub that fits your journey. Music and speaking, family protection, digital learning, passive income, or Keith's book and reading hub. Press play. Take action. Your next level is calling.